and welcome everyone. I am Namita Purohit. I am a leadership and life coach, and I'm here to help and serve leaders, high performers, high achievers, aspirationals who are looking to grow in their lives, but they do know that there is something bogging them down, that something blocking them down, right? And my approach is about an inside out approach in helping people grow. Um, while there is a lot about getting what we need from the outside and making having the right ecosystem, there needs to be a great inner ecosystem for us to be able to perform well in our world. And therefore, I help leaders, high performers, high potentials, and aspirational people to have a great, strong inside so that they can perform on the outside. And whether that's in their life, in their relationships, in their leadership, in the workplace, in their career, in wealth management, in their own wellness, whatever that is, that their goal is. Uh, I'm fighting a little bit of an allergic reaction today, so please bear with me as I keep trying to take care of myself. And today's podcast, we're going to talk about respect. And respect is a currency that helps us smoothen a lot of our relationships, that helps us smoothen things in the workplace, and that helps us actually make an impact, helps us make an impact in the lives of others. And it helps us lead and grow. And it helps us communicate what we want. It helps us voice our concerns. It helps us have a better relationship with people around us, and so on. So, respect is a very important currency. And a lot of us struggle sometimes to gain respect in certain rooms. When we enter a room, we find that we're not being respected, we're not being treated well. And then, how do you flip that situation? How do you change that situation for yourself? Yes. So, that's what we're going to talk about: 10 habits to gain respect at home and in the workplace. Again, this is not about tricking the system. This is not about gaming the system, or this is not about inauthenticity. This is about how you can build yourself as an authentic person and show up as a leader at home and in the workplace and gain the respect of those whose lives you're impacting, right? Now, a lot of us do. Some of us have this challenge in the workplace where you've built an incredible network. You've built an absolutely incredible network, but when people introduce you in the workplace or wherever you go, or you've done so much for your family, or you've done so much for your community, you've done so much for your extended family, but when you go into different places and different rooms where there are others introducing you to new people, they don't introduce you with the level of authority that you wish you had, that really showcased your work, right? So a lot of times people introduce me in a certain way, which is truly not who I am, right? And now, how do I uh, make sure that what my body of work, my, or whatever I have been able to do, whether like, and I'm talking about you, whether you've done it in your family, you've done it in the workplace, wherever, you're introduced properly to that level and you've earned that respect, and people recognize that, remember that, and then they are able to um, introduce you to that level. Some of us have this struggle. Some of us probably have the struggle that my family does not respect me for what I do for them. Now, they could be immature people who don't know how to behave properly, or they could be toxic, narcissistic people. And the treatment for the toxic, narcissistic people is very different on how you deal with them. And for that, I have a very separate podcast on my YouTube channel, which is the Heal Strong podcast, to make a full recovery from toxic, narcissistic abuse. And you learn a lot about how to deal with them. But in this case, we're not talking about those people. We're just talking about, hey, I do stuff and I don't get respected. And a lot of my clients are in that situation, and we help them out with that, right? Or you are at home or in the workplace, you're the one who's put in all the hard work, you're the one who's put in all the nights, you're the one who's put in all the thought, the commitment, and everything. And you still want somebody else getting the leadership role in the family or in the workplace, and they're probably less capable than you, and they're making the decisions that you should be making, and those decisions are impacting you, your family, your career, and your company's future, whichever realm of life we're talking about here. Yes. And say a yes if that's something that you experience, if that's something that happens to you. I'd love to hear in the comments.
right? Now, some people are not capable of respecting you because they're toxic, because they're immature. And is it worth waiting for them to do that? Maybe not. And sometimes we don't get respect because of how we behave, how we show up, our own behavior and our own presence and our own inner relationship with ourselves. Because as I said, it's an inside out thing. Now, what can you do about it? And today we're going to talk about 10 things that you can do about it. And why? Because respect is a social currency. When you have respect, it helps your ideas travel across the room. When you have respect, it smooths the relationships that you're in, and it helps you communicate better and have an impact better. It helps you have friendship, bonhomie. It helps you have a good time with people, and it helps you smoothen out so many decisions that you have to make, so many calls that you need to make, so many crises that you need to manage, and so on, even in your family, in your work, and in your workplace. And respect helps you grow. When people see you with respect, when they treat you with respect, when they see you with respect as a respectable person, it opens many doors for you. Yes. Now, while internally, as spiritual beings, we are not looking for respect because we are always thinking about how can I serve and how can I be there and how can I be in a mood of service and see everyone as my master. But that's your internal spiritual mood. But when you're on the outside and when you're working with people, when you're interacting with people, respect is a social currency that we all need. And that makes things easier, and that actually makes things happen. Without respect, things don't happen in the workplace. Trying to struggle to turn this on. It's getting a little hot here. Okay, did decide to turn on. Yes. Now, what are the 10 things that you can do? What are the 10 things that you can do to earn the respect of people, right? It's not something that you can demand. It's not something that just comes to you even at home, just because you're the father, you're the mother, just because of that, you will get some respect based on the social construct. But internally, how can you gain the respect and the trust of people around you? Yes, because that's going to be bigger, that's going to be more lasting than just what comes to you because of the social construct. And even in the workplace, just because you are a VP, just because you're a CEO, just because you're a director, they will respect your position. But at the same time, what can you truly do where they're respecting you from their heart, where it's natural, it's coming, and it's not just at the human and the personal level in the workplace, but it's also at the organizational level, right? So we're going to talk about some 10 habits that you need to follow to gain respect. Maybe you're doing already some of them, and that's great. And the ones that you're not doing, make a note of that. And at the end, let's have a score on which ones are you practicing and which ones you want to grow in your life, and we have solutions to help you, right? So the first thing is the first key to respect is to learn how to honor and respect your own self. Now close your eyes and think about how well do you take care of yourself. How aware are you of your own needs, your own feelings, your own aspirations, your own being, the different levels of person that you are, the different levels of personality, the layers of personality that you have, and how aware are you of your own needs and feelings? How compassionate are you towards your own self? How forgiving are you towards your own self? How well do you treat yourself in different scenarios and in different situations, right? So the first thing is that we want to learn how to respect ourselves, because the way we treat ourselves is how the world is going to treat us, right? If we don't treat ourselves with respect, why would somebody else treat you with respect? An example: if you um, are okay living in a cluttered and a dirty place, um, people will not try to make arrangements for you so that you are in a clean place when you're invited, or you're somewhere else. But if you are used to being in a very clean and neat and clean place, then people know that about you, and they naturally start making arrangements about that for you to help you out. Or if you're used to honoring yourself and taking care of your needs and feelings and emotions, and if you've gone through something very difficult and somebody is calling you over to do something for them, and then you're like, no, I really need the time and space right now to take care of myself in this moment. So please give me some time and I'll definitely come back to you. the other person is going to honor that. But at the same time, if you don't honor yourself, you abandon yourself and you show up for the other person, and you wonder, why doesn't this person get it that I need a break, right? So when you respect and honor yourself is when other people respect and honor you. And you want to stop. Some people, some leaders can be people pleasing leaders, and they can be thinking about, how do I please this person? uh, and they go to any extent to please that person so that that other person respects them. But at the same time, you don't get respect when you're people pleasing, because people are looking for you to show up as a leader so that they can respect you. They're not looking for people who are just saying yes to everything they say just so that they can be pleased, and then they respect you, right? They won't respect you if you're a people pleaser, or you're looking for approval constantly, right? So that self validation, can you give the validation that you need from the outside? uh, can you give it to yourself? An example is, I'm currently working with a client, and we just did an exercise this week about the last 15 years of his life. So, every time he enters his workplace, he feels horrible. He doesn't feel good at all. Why? Because he sees that people who are more capable than him, or less capable than him, and less talented than him, and who need even help with the basics, are now people that he's reporting to. And he knows that he's more capable than them, and he has the ability to be the CTO in that company. But for whatever reasons, he's still at an individual contributor level, right? Now, why did that happen to him? Is because over the years, he was married to someone who was, and he is married to someone who was very toxic, very narcissistic, very self centered, and very self focused. And he made a lot of sacrifices in his career, um, in order to keep her happy at home. Yes. And he thought that was his role as a husband, and he kept doing that and kept doing that and kept doing that. And the more he did, the more she drew in, the more she made him do, to the extent that he's cooking, he's dropping the kids, picking up the kids, he's taking care of everything in the house, and he's taking care of her. While I think she has a job, but that's all she does, right? And every time he had a chance to grow, she would say, "Oh, but who'll take care of the kids? Who'll do the cooking? Who'll do this? Who'll do that?" And he sacrificed himself. He sacrificed his aspirations. He did not honor his own needs, his own aspirations, his own talent. And gradually, he got used to that manipulation, and he gave up on himself. Yes. Now, he didn't know how to honor himself. He didn't know that he had to take care of his needs and aspirations. And if he didn't do it, nobody else will. But now, as we're working on it and we're helping him do that, you can see a massive change, because he's learning how to honor his own needs and aspirations. He's communicating accordingly in how he's managing his time, because I need this time to grow in my career, and I need to do this, and I need to support my family also, because when I grow for my career, we have more money for everyone. And he's making that a priority, respecting himself, honoring himself, and making that a priority. He's automatically saying no and creating a lot of boundaries with his wife, and she's gradually getting used to it, hopefully. Yes. Now, that's why the first thing about, the first tip that I want to share with all of you today is that it starts with respecting and honoring your own self. Now, the second thing is that you want to show up in your life and in your world with a lot of emotional regulation. People respect people who have the ability to stay calm in under massive pressure, right? And Srila Prabhupada, who's the founder of the Hare Krishna movement, he always said that the greatness of a person has to be estimated by the ability to tolerate provoking situations. Yes. Now, when you can tolerate a provoking situation, you can stay calm under pressure. People salute you, like one of the cricketers, one of the ex-captains of the Indian cricket team, Mahendra Singh Dhoni. A lot of people respect him is just because he's Captain Cool, and he can just stay calm, and he can stay focused on the decision making part of his brain, the logical part of the brain, and he can lead the team to success. And that's why they like him. Yes. And why is that important? Is because people are looking to be led. People want to be led. People are looking for direction. And when they see someone who has that emotional regulation, they easily follow the person, they respect the person, because a lot of us don't have that, right? A lot of people don't have that emotional regulation, that ability to stay calm under pressure. And when they see someone with that ability, they naturally want to follow this person. They feel safe under this person. They feel safe under the direction and care of this person. Yes, and emotional regulation is also that as a person at home or in the workplace, you're not looking for pick me up, right? You're not looking for like, oh my God, I'm feeling so sad, I need someone to pick me up. No, emotional regulation is also where you're able to understand what's happening to you, regulate yourself, and bring yourself back, right? We're not talking about suppressing feelings, but we're talking about being aware of your feelings, your needs, and knowing how to comfort yourself in that moment. Yes, and saying no to people pleasing. So, emotional regulation is another skill that is appreciated and that helps you gain respect of people naturally, because they themselves are very disturbed. So, when they see someone who's very calm and can lead the way, especially during crisis situations or during change, and they can stay calm and act and do the right thing for the people that who are following them. Oh, that's massive. That helps you gain so much respect in that situation, right? And I'll just give you an example here of one of the great Indian epics, the Mahabharata. And in that, there is this one very hostile, he's like a prince who wants to become the king, but he doesn't deserve to become the king because the right to the throne is of his cousin, his older cousin. And so then God, Lord Sri Krishna, he plays as a mediator, and he gives him an offer that, look, your cousins don't want to fight with you, you want to be the king, go ahead, but at least just give them 5 villages so that they can rule and they can take care. And he goes like, no way, I'm not even giving those 5 villages. Yes. And a lot of people try to put sense into that prince's head, Duryodhana's head, that hey, you should accept this offer. Look at their magnanimity. They deserve to be the king, but they're giving their rightful claim, they're giving it to you because they want to avoid destruction that comes with war. And in that situation, the Lord, who plays the mediator role for the cousins, the Pandavas, is completely calm and composed and emotionally regulated, even being treated in a very hostile way by Duryodhana. He's not losing his calm. He's presenting his points really well. And so are a few others. But Duryodhana gets so upset and so angry that he wants to imprison the Lord. He wants to imprison his own ministers who are giving him good counsel and things like that. Now, my guru always says that you judge a thing by its result. Phalena parichati. Now, what is the end of? So finally, the war happens, and who wins the war? Is the cousins. This Duryodhana, he loses the war because he doesn't have that emotional regulation. He's too attached. He's too distracted because of his own um, desires that he's trying to fulfill, and he's not trying to do some good for society. Right? He could have had more calm and more a sense and emotional regulation if he was truly thinking in terms of service of the Lord, service of the people. But here, because he's thinking about his own self, he's thinking about how to grow his own career, grow his own impact, and he's so attached, he's unable to be calm. Yes? And the outcome is that he loses the war and he dies and he loses everything. Now, the third thing that people want to see in a leader that helps you actually gain respect is to set boundaries. Yes, respected leaders are kind but firm, right? If you're too kind and you have no boundaries and you let people do anything they want to you and in your projects and in the family, you have no boundaries. And when you have no boundaries, while they may talk to you really nicely because they know you're easy to get along with and you're easy to bump around, but internally they don't respect you at all. You're not going to be the chosen person to lead anything, whether in the family or in the workplace. Why? Because a leader is supposed to protect. And if a leader does not have strong personal boundaries, what kind of boundaries will they be able to set up in protecting their family or their own organization? Yes. And because of when they don't have that, their subordinates or their family members suffer, right? So you don't want to blur the lines to be liked. You want to say what's okay and what's not. And people like that. People like that. Now, the thing is that to set boundaries, you need to have a lot of inner strength. And then what is that inner strength I'm talking about is to first even know what are the boundaries you need. Now, how do you know what are the boundaries you need? Is by knowing what your needs are, what your feelings are, what your aspirations are, what your values are, what your goals are. So it's a lot of self awareness of your own self, and it's a lot of awareness of your family at that circle level and at the organizational level also. And it's only then you can set boundaries. But it all begins with the self, and it all begins with self awareness. And a lot of people have probably gone through some trauma, probably been treated in certain ways because they feel that if they communicate a boundary, they draw a line, they won't be liked. And then when they won't be liked, some resources will be taken away from them, as that's what happened to them when they were children. And then they carry that trauma and they carry those behaviors, unhealed parts of themselves, even into their leadership, and becomes difficult for them to set boundaries, and in turn they're not able to gain the respect of their team members. So what do you like, think about it, do you have the inner strength to set boundaries and to be okay to not be liked by certain people because you set boundaries, right? So those are some things you need to think about, and you need to really work on your inner core strength in order to be able to do that, right? Now, fourth is self leadership, is investing in your own personal growth, being disciplined, being predictable, being knowing how to manage yourself, um, being punctual, being steady, being a person of integrity. So many different qualities that come in the realm and the zone of self leadership. Yeah. And even these past stories that we have, that I just gave you an example, but we have many, many stories. And in one of our modules, we also teach you how to retell those stories, learn from them, learn the impact they have, and then unlearn the things that you need to unlearn and build that self leadership. Now, are you able to do that? Right? Now, are you able to act consistently with confidence? Are you able to act decisively? And team, are you able to be steady in your life, a person of a word? All of those things fall into self leadership. And how much are you investing in your own personal growth to grow as a leader who is well appreciated for the self leadership that they show? And uh, the decisions you take at the organization level or at a family level will be supported by a lot of things. But how you show up as a leader, it stems from your own self leadership, and it comes from, again, building a very strong inner core, having mastery over your own self, and moving forward, right? And that comes with having a lot of clarity about your own self. So the self leadership is, again, very important, where for where people see that, oh, have you heard of this thing that they say, like, wow, this person is really sorted, or this person is just fantastic, they just know what to do in which situation, right? And that doesn't come because they just know the lay of the land really well, or because they're just sharp and they're like street smart. No, it comes from the space of a lot of self leadership. And that's something that you want to build in yourself, right? And it all starts, like I've talked only about the first 4 points so far. And these are points more focused on your inner growth as a leader. And because that impacts how you show up for people. And it all starts with yourself. And it all starts, these 4 points that we talked about. Let's do a quick recap, which is self leadership, setting boundaries, emotional regulation, and respecting and honoring your own self. It all falls in the realm of self love and self partnering, loving and honoring yourself. And for that, I invite you to join my self love 8-week coaching program, which has where you get access to courses and community, and you get access to group coaching with me. And some of you could even opt for one on one coaching, where you learn every week about learning how to develop that self partnering, that self love, that leadership, self leadership, in order to be able to master these 4 points and a lot more, because a lot comes from self love, and a lot of successes in your life come from being able to love yourself and hold yourself and keep yourself together. And I invite you to join that program. You have a QR code here, and also wherever you're watching, a link will show up in the description very soon, right? So this is for high achievers who feel disconnected from the inside, or don't feel very sure of them in the inside, and who want to feel whole and lead from a very aligned self. So I invite you to join that. Now let's get on to the next 6 points that can help you gain the respect of people around you. Is respecting others, honoring their beings, seeing them as spiritual beings with, again, humans with needs, feelings, emotions, values, stories, aspirations, and so many things, and encouraging them even in their lows, right? That's what leadership is. And that's where you will be able to gain their respect too. Acknowledging their wins, not stealing their wins away, not taking credit for things that you didn't do, but giving credit. And that's what helps people respect you, that, wow, this leader is so secure. Whether that's at home or in the workplace, the same rules apply. And I had this leader who, I was in a very low phase in my life, and I probably doing certain things which were not in line with my nature, were not very respectable, the way I had behaved in certain situations. uh, and that leader, instead of telling me about what was wrong about me, he actually honored and appreciated my journey. And he honored and appreciated my journey for acknowledging that, hey, you did this because you were broken, and you were broken because you struggled so much, and because of this is what happened, but you still handled this with grace and did all of that. Imagine, I was ready to be blasted, I was ready to be uh, criticized for forever, for whatever I had done. But in that space, imagine the amount of respect I developed for this leader. And I feel that the reason they were able to do that is because of the relationship they have with themselves. It's about how they have learned how to honor their own needs and feelings. They've learned how to be compassionate, be forgiving, be loving to their own selves, be and because of, and to understand how their own story has impacted their own behaviors. Is because of that, is that they were able to give me that in that moment. And therefore, as I said, it all starts with the self love. And therefore, I invited you to join the self love group coaching program with us, because that's what's going to help you really become that solid leader and even do these remaining 6 steps that I'm talking about. So I invite you to join that program. And let's move on to the next point. So, respecting others. And when you respect others, you have their respect for life. You have them for life. And this is not some external respect that you're giving to them just to get their respect back, but it's truly and authentically honoring the soul in front of you, right? And seeing from that point of view, while you being a leader, while you have to do what you have to do, but the way you're dealing with them, the way you're making them feel, you're still making them feel honored and respected, and you're engaging with them is what you're going to help. It's what's going to help you win them for life. And the reason you can win them for life is, not many people are able to treat others with that level of respect that you will be able to give it to them. And that's what will be very special for them. It would touch their lives, and it would really help them develop a deeper connection with you. But you can only respect others to the level at which you respect and honor your own self. And therefore, you need to do the first 4 steps. You need to do the 8-week self-love group coaching the coaching program that we have, whether it's one-on-one group or just do it yourself that you like, and to help you become this person. The next is communication. Are you clear in your communication? How clear are you in how you communicate your thoughts and ideas? Do you prepare yourself well about what you want to communicate? Are you thoughtful about, hey, if I communicate this, this is the outcome that's going to come out of it, and is that the outcome I want? So you begin with the end in mind, that this is the outcome I want, so therefore I'm going to communicate. Do you know how to filter communication? Like, okay, these are all these non-essential parts, and I don't want that. Let me just stay focused on what I want to communicate, what the outcome that I want, and let me communicate with clarity over here. Because there's so much data, so much communication that people are handling. So how can we be clear in the moment? Are you communicating with integrity? Is there a difference between what you say and what you do? Because it's not just what you're saying is communication, what you're doing is communication also. So that integrity is what people are looking for in their leaders. Now, are you communication is also about receiving. Are you listening actively to what they're saying? Are you valuing the input of people around you? And this is in the workplace, and this is even at home. Are you able to value their input? Are you able to, even if you disagree with people at home or in the workplace, even if you disagree with them, do you still value the input that they have made? How are you making them feel around you? right? Are you able to sense the music behind the words, like, they're expressing something? There's a lot that's happening below that, right? There is words in a song, and then there's music behind the words. We try to listen for both, right? Now, in communication also, the music, the words are what they're saying, but the music is their needs, their feelings, their beliefs, their desires, their aspirations, all of those things. Are you able to listen to all of that when you're talking to them, or your children, or your subordinates, or your spouse? And are you able to respond even to all of that? Or are you just getting offended by everything that they're saying without looking at all those deeper things? Are you able to reach them where they are and speak to them in a way in which that lands for them? Because everyone has a different personality type. Some of us, are able to handle a logical communication and not get offended. But some people need a lot of care and a lot of emotion and emotional handling as you're communicating to them, right? Different people have different personalities. Some people want communication to be fun. Some people want communication, they don't like too many surprises. So, how are you going to communicate so that you reach them, right? That's another thing. And communication is also about building your speaking skills. It's also about learning how to project your voice. It's about all and communication at all types, whether it's one-on-one communication that you're doing with people, or you're communicating in a group, or you're doing an all-hands meeting, or you're handling emails or social media, whatever that is. But how are you communicating, keeping all of these things in mind, right? Um, how can you still show up as an empathic, conscious communicator at home and in the workplace? How are you making your spouse feel when you're communicating with them? How are you making your children feel when they're communicating with them? Are they feeling cherished? Are they feeling loved? Are they feeling heard? Are they feeling understood? Right? And the more you give all that to them, the more they respect you, the more they trust you, and the more they want to be with you. Right? And isn't that what we want for ourselves? The next is oh yeah, there is this beautiful bracelet that I have developed for people to build on their communication, because it's also about your throat chakra. So doesn't mean you still need to develop all of these things that you said, but this bracelet can act as a supportive function in opening your throat chakra, where you can be calm and you can communicate with clarity and with integrity and with emotional regulation, everything that you need. So, for those of you who want this, you could buy this Camp Companion bracelet. Okay, look, I'm not wearing that. I'm wearing another one of my bracelets, but it will be looking. This is how it fits. Of course, it's going to be in blue with lapis lazuli and the rose quartz and the tiger's eye to give you a solid standing when you're communicating. Yes, so doing that, and then recently, like, we have JD Vance visiting, the US vice president visiting India, and he says that PM Modi is a tough negotiator. He drives a hard bargain, and he says that. But what he says is, and that's at the bottom, he says is that PM Modi is a tough negotiator. He gives a hard bargain, and that's one of the reasons we really respect him. Yes. Now, this is he's very clear about what he wants. He's communicating very clearly with integrity. His behavior has been with integrity, and he's not trying to people please. He's been a hard negotiator, and that's why we respect him. So people respect people with a spine. People respect people who are clear, who know how to communicate, who stand for their values, and so many things that I've already shared, right? So don't be scared of being different. Don't be scared of people not liking you because you're not saying certain things to them, or that they want to hear. No, that's fine. People actually respect you more when you stand your own ground and when you have a spine, right? Now, next up is if you want people to respect you, you want to have a balance of the feminine and the masculine in how you deal with people, right? If you're always strict, if you're always uh, telling people what to do, if you're always, uh, you know, being harsh or being very rule driven or being very logical in your approach and how you're dealing with people, um, they'll respect you, but then they'll still feel unseen, unheard, and not understood on the other side, which is the side of their emotions, the softer things of life. And that's very important in order to earn the respect, right? So, and at the same time, you can't just be all about empathy and love and letting people do what they want. And whether you're a parent, you just let them do what they want and you become their friend. And that's no, you got to be a parent. You got to be that masculine energy also, which is about establishing boundaries, establishing rules, teaching them determination, discipline, and things like that. And at the same time, you want to be loving, you want to be caring, you want to be guiding, you want to be supporting them, you want to coach them, you want to help them grow. And in your leadership role, it's also about, like, you could be, there's a point where you engage and you have democratic discussion, you involve everyone, you hear everyone's voices and opinions, and you, when they come to you, you coach them in how to think differently, instead of giving them the answers themselves directly, sorry, yourself directly. And that's called the push model. But sometimes you got to have the pull model also, where you're just like, okay, guys, line up. And I know you disagree, I know you don't want to do this, but this is what we need to do, because this is what we're being measured against, this is what the company's hired me to do, and this is what we need to do for the good of our organization. Do that pull leadership model also, and that's the balance between the masculine and the feminine. And when you're able to do that, when you're able to be empathic and have the right goal focus, is when people will respect you. People don't respect people with only a feminine leadership style. They don't. Even in your family situation, with your partner, with your children, or your extended family and social relationships, if you're all about empathy and love and connection and letting people be the way they want, and uh, you're not very respected to that, right? Because they want to see empathy balanced with a goals focus. They want to see empathy balanced with boundaries. They want to see empathy balanced with some rules. And those are the masculine characteristic sides. And there's this beautiful pastime again in the Mahabharata, the same great epic that I referred earlier. And it's about this conversation between Draupadi and her husbands, because Ashwatthama has killed her 5 children in cold blood. This is at the end of the war, which these cousins win, the Pandavas win. But somebody from the enemy camp still, wants to kill, and he ends up killing her 5 sons. Now she's feminine, and she's bringing in the whole feminine leadership concept when they're deciding to kill him. She goes like, no, he's our guru's son. We can't do that. I don't want his mother to suffer in the same way of losing a child the way I'm suffering, right? And we're kings. We're supposed to protect the priestly class, and we will incur sin if we kill them, right? So she's bringing in a lot of these nice, very points on empathy and femininity and compassion, right? But on the other side, law and order needs to be maintained. You cannot, as kings, they need to maintain and have law and order also, so they can't just let them loose. And therefore, certain systems and needs to be established. So while that feminine leadership is very nice because it brings in all those points that we need to be thoughtful about, we also need masculine leadership, and the right action needs to be taken. Now, whether that's about achieving your goals or it's about setting law and order, like in this case, where finally they come to a conclusion that yes, we can't kill him because he's a Brahmana, but we still need to punish him for what he has done. And then they give him an equivalent punishment of cutting his hair and taking off. He had a special crystal over here, and that was equivalent to death according to those cultural times. Yes. So it's important to balance the two, because you can't just let things go. And when you do that is when people respect you. Now imagine if, as kings, they just followed the the feminine suggestion that came from Draupadi. Do you think the kingdom would have appreciated them? No, they'll be like, oh, there's no law and order. They just let people do whatever they want. At the same time, if they were completely masculine and they did not have the considerations that their wife brought up, and they just killed the person, then again they won't earn respect, because they didn't act properly according to the full considerations of the entire situation that they needed to do. So it's important to balance both. And as you see it in your family situation, that's why you have a mother and a father, so that both together are able to raise the child with because women naturally are have the feminine energy dominant in them, while they have the masculine energy also. And men naturally have the masculine energy and the masculine approach more dominant in them, while they have a feminine side also in their approach. And therefore, children need both. They need the feminine energy to nurture them, and they need the masculine energy to nurture them. And therefore, we have the sun and the moon. And therefore, that's what you need to do in the workplace as a leader also. So, keeping that in mind, and that's what helps people respect you, that, hey, this person is not just all about rules, they have a heart too. oh, this person is not just all heart, but they also make things happen, and they help us achieve things over here, right? Now, the another thing is that you got to take radical responsibility. Radical responsibility is that if you want to be respected as a person, people respect those people who are responsible, who've taken responsibility. In my work, I used to do a lot of workshops for some the Indian Army Wives Association, Iowa. And in that context, I would also end up meeting, some colonels and brigadiers who were serving in the army, because they were the ones who'd invite me and then help organize some of these things. And I was chatting with one colonel who had just recently moved from lieutenant colonel, who had recently been reposted from Kashmir to Mumbai. And I was like, wow, Kashmir is tough, and this is like 8 or 10 years ago. And he goes, yeah, it's tough. And then I was saying that, um, how the like I heard that you would go into each house looking for those terrorists and then getting them out, because those terrorists have taken shelter in Kashmiri homes, in the homes of like the civilians, because they know that you would never bomb those homes. So how did you do that? Weren't you scared that if you would knock on the home and one of the terrorists comes out, and then they kill you? Like, wouldn't you be scared about that? So then he goes that I said that, would you like feel like you could just send your men instead of you? And he said, no, I'm the one who's knocking the door because I'm responsible. And if I don't do that, my team's not going to respect me. If I put them on the firing line before myself, and like I put the risk on them, no, I'm the one who's taking the risk. I'm the one who's responsible for that operation. And I'm the one who's knocking those doors and doing my part. Right. So this is taking radical responsibility, and that's being a leader. It's not about, oh, let me be a leader, but let me protect myself and let others do the dirty part or the tough part, but let me be in my position. No, your position will have no meaning. Even if you may have the position, nobody's going to listen to you, nobody's going to follow you. So what kind of radical responsibility are you taking as a person in your leadership role in the workplace? And what about the home? How are you acting with responsibility? You have a certain role at home towards your partner, towards your parents, towards your children. And with that role comes responsibility. Now, the extent to which you do your role and responsibility really well is the extent to which you are going to be able to earn the respect of your family members too. And how much integrity do you have in what's in your life? Is that, are you saying something and then not following through? That's again not taking responsibility. That's not being a person of integrity. So that's an important thing that you need to do too. Like, do you promise your children something just in the moment to make them happy and please them, so that and get those brownie points from them, but they don't follow through? Over a period of time, they won't trust you, and that resentment is going to build inside, and they're going to act on it at some point. Yes, and they won't respect you. And the same thing in the workplace. Are you promising things and not following through? There is this philanthropist I know really well, and and then one of my friends, she works in the nonprofit space, and she's like, "Oh, you know him really well?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she goes, "But I don't know him because of the philanthropy. I know him more socially." And then I was told by my friend that, you know what, when we meet him, he promises a lot of things in the meetings, in the different events that we have on charity and things like that. But he doesn't ever follow through. I'm like, really? Like, let me know if you need help and I can arrange a meeting for you. And she goes, no, he's famous in the industry for that he promises things and he doesn't follow through. Now, what kind of respect does this philanthropist have in that whole nonprofit space? Not much, right? And another thing about radical responsibilities is to admit errors transparently. Now, in your relationship with your partner, when you make a mistake, when you mess up, do you gaslight them, or do you admit you made a mistake? I know this leader, and he can be extremely rude to his wife, extremely rude. And his wife is a great an accomplished leader in her own right. And it can be really, really hurtful the way he speaks with her. And I've been working with her in helping her develop a way to communicate, to reach him and express that she what she needs to express. And as she's learning how to do that, and also be emotionally regulated herself so that she doesn't get very disturbed by the reaction that sometimes comes from him and the way he communicates with her. She followed the nonviolent communication model. We worked up and we, communicated, like developed a plan of how she's going to communicate her hurt to him. And the response she got was, "What are you even talking about? I didn't even say that." Now, is that radical responsibility? Is this somebody who is taking responsibility for how they behaved the day before? No, they're acting as if it didn't happen. They're acting as if that it didn't exist, and it's a nothing. It's not something that his wife should be even thinking about, and she needs to, focus on what's important. Now, is that like what kind of respect will this wife have for this partner? And they're both really big leaders in their realm of things. How would she able to respect him? And don't you think this leader is carrying this pattern even in the workplace and how he's dealing with his people, how he's dealing with his customers, how he's dealing with everyone around him? Yeah, because that's him. When you squeeze an orange, you get orange juice, right? So can you admit errors transparently? A better response would be, yes, I'm so sorry. I read your email. I read that communication you sent to me. I'm so sorry. Thank you for bringing this up. I'm really sorry I hurt you. I'm really sorry I misspoke. I'm really sorry I did this. And I will do better next time. I will work on myself and I will not give you a reason to complain anymore. That's radical responsibility. Say if you made a decision in the workplace and you did something that was terrible, or you didn't know it was terrible. Again, you took a risk and then the results were not good. Falena parichiti, you judge a thing by its result. Now, are you deflecting responsibility and are you saying that, oh, I didn't decide that? That was a team decision. This is what happened. That is what happened. Or are you saying, yeah, that's my responsibility? I take full responsibility for what has happened and I'm going to go and fix this mess. I'm going to take care of it. Yes? So that is when you do that, is when people respect you. Even if you messed up, usually we think, oh, I messed up and now people are going to know that. And then now they won't respect me because they'll know it was me. No, they'll actually disrespect you even more, but they'll respect you when you own up and say that, oh, that's my mess. I'm going to go and clean it up. And I'm really sorry for what has happened here. And I'm going to make sure I fix it. And I'll do everything to fix it and to bring it back to, whole and complete. Right? That's radical responsibility. And that's when people respect you really well. Now, to do some of these things, you need a lot of inner strength and personal power, a very strong solar plexus, and a strong core where you can be courageous and you can have freedom and bold action and to go after truly what you want, to be responsible and to be that leader that you need to be. And for that, I have the personal power bracelet that you can get, and the links will be shortly in the description below wherever you're watching this. And you can get them to increase your inner core strength so that you can accept the responsibility in those situations. You can be a person of trust and a person of integrity, because all of that requires a lot of inner strength. And that comes from your solar plexus, and this bracelet helps you strengthen that, right? Now, the last 2 points. So far, we've covered 8 points in helping you learn about how to help people respect you. Now, let's have 2 more points. Is you want to have subject matter depth. Yes. So when you are talking about something, and if you want to be respected for that, whether it's in the family, like say if you're trying to figure out like help your children make their career choices. And if you just say random things like, take up this because that's what everyone's doing. No, you're not a subject. You don't have the expertise in that domain. You haven't done your research. You don't have the depth, and you're just saying things. People are not going to trust you, right? So even at home, you want to have subject matter expertise. You want to have the depth of knowledge when you are guiding somebody in a certain area, or you're supporting them in a certain area of life. They're expecting you to have the depth of knowledge, that because then they know that, oh, they have really done their homework and they're coming to me with this path that I can take. And that's what helps them trust you. Like me and my friend are now trying to, she needs to go to some holy place and she's looking for some company. And then I said, okay, fine, I'll go with you, because she's a very good friend of mine. And because she has some rituals to do over there. So I said, fine, I'll join you. And then she goes, Namita, I'm really busy. Why don't you just make the whole plan for us? I'm like, oh, I thought you were the one who wanted to go and I'm just accompanying you. Now she's trusting me to do the research and to come up with the most optimized plan, because both she and I are very short of time. And we want to, and I want to make sure that she can do what she wants to do, because and she's reached out to me. Now she's trusting me to do my proper research and come up with the best solution. So it's my duty to do that and not come up with some haphazard things. Do I know anything about that place? No. Do I know how to get there? No. Do I know how to do what? No. But now, because she trusts me with this and she needs help, I'm going to show up with all the research and present it to her and let her make the call, because this is a trip she wants to take and I want to make sure that she's happy with the choice she makes, right? So again, you've got to be very detailed, you've got to be very thoughtful in how you're communicating with people, in how you're doing things for them. Similarly, in the workplace, are you trying to lead in a certain domain without having expertise in that domain, without having depth in that domain, without having, or and sometimes you get promoted or you get, you change companies and a lot of things shift. But what is that genius zone that you're good at, and how good are you in cultivating that and using that in leading your team? And what are you doing about the things that you're not good at, or things that are not your domain expertise, and are you trying to get better at that, or are you trying to be transparent with your team that, hey, I'm not good at this, I'm trying to learn, but I'm happy to be led by somebody, or I'm happy to hear suggestions from others on the team who are good at it. So these are some things that you need to do really well, right? Which is to know your domain and have that subject matter expertise. And is depth enough, or you also need vision with depth? Just having depth and having knowledge is like chat GPT, and nowadays intelligence and knowledge is on a chat. But it's also about vision, it's about direction, it's about where do you want to take your family or your partner, or your team or your organization with this. So you also need to cultivate depth in that, and that's what's going to help you grow. Sorry, I did something that I shouldn't have. Okay, let's see. We're here. And we lost the media source. Give me a moment. I'll just get the last uh, piece. Oh, here we go. It's over here. Yes. So are we? So this subject matter expertise is very important. Something that you need to focus on. Something that you need to understand. And lastly, thought let's talk about executive presence and leadership brand. How are you showing up? Right, executive presence, when we're coaching people, we like to develop these three things for them, which is gravitas, like are you showing up with seriousness and thoughtfulness in how you approach things, with that emotional depth and the subject matter depth and all of that, and that's what presents you as a grave person with gravitas. And how are you communicating? And sometimes, even if you're not saying anything, you're communicating. So, how are you communicating and how are you appearing? How are you showing up? What is your body energy? What is your, are you dressing up to be, respected by the people around you? As in, like, exude respect, or, like command respect that needs to come to you. So, executive presence is very important. The way you're speaking, the way you're communicating, the way you're showing up, the way you're handling problems, the way you're just your whole being is very important. And you need to cultivate a strong executive presence to get natural respect from people. And that's not just an outside thing, it's an inside out thing, as I've been talking about. And also focus on building your leadership brand. What makes you special? What are you known for? What is your USP? What makes you stand out? Right now, I have this picture of Kamala Harris, who lost the US presidential election to Donald Trump, and she couldn't become the president. She was a vice president in the Joe Biden government. Now, why do I have this picture of her laughing? Now, these look like pictures where she's just laughing and she's having a good time. But then when you hear her, like, when you watch the videos of when she's doing that, even if she's got the right appearance, she's got the right suit, she's got the right hairstyle, she's got all of those things. But, you see her cackling, sometimes laughing in her own speech for like a full minute. Now, does that communicate gravitas? Does that communicate her as a leader who's trustworthy, somebody I want to vote, and somebody I want to give the reins to my nuclear codes? No, right? And there are many other things like the subject matter expertise, the way she was handling different communication pieces, etc., was not very impressive, and that's why she lost. So that executive presence is very important. And what makes you special, what makes you stand out in the world is also very important, right? So it's very important to know your USP, what makes you different. And that's also about USPs is not just in your domain expertise, but it's also in like your USP in your relationships. What's different about you in relationships? Special about what you make them feel versus what others make them feel? What is unique about how you approach relationships, how you approach a problem? What is that unique thing of yours that stands out? And that's something that needs to be built and cultivated. And of course, too long a discussion for today's talk, but I'll just leave it out there. So, what makes you special? What makes you stand out? And what is that leadership brand that you're trying to build? What makes you stand out in your family situation? What are some of the things that people would just come to you for because they know that's your brand, that's your USP, right? And similarly in the workplace. So these are some of the things that you want to cultivate as you are trying to gain respect, which is respecting, starting with first yourself, respecting and honoring yourself, emotional regulation, learning how to stay calm under pressure and crisis. Some examples there: learning how to set boundaries, a lot of self leadership, integrity, respect for yourself, calming all those past stories that are not helpful to you and those past behaviors that are not helpful to you, working on all of that, personal growth. And then all of this comes from building a very strong inner core, which you can get with the self love course that I talked about. And then it's respecting others. When you can learn how to respect, love, honor, and partner yourself with yourself is what you can give to other people. And therefore, again, working on yourself is important. Again, communication. And that again comes from a very solid sense of self. Um, and a balance of the feminine and masculine again comes from a very solid sense of self. Taking radical responsibility. A lot of people can't take responsibility because they don't love themselves if they make a mistake, right? So they don't have enough self acceptance and self compassion for themselves. They reject themselves, they abandon themselves when they mess up, right? So, again, a lot of self love is needed, and therefore, you need my self love 8-week coaching program. To do that, subject matter expertise, again, in my eyes, begins with self love. And executive presence and leadership brand is important. Now, what rating would you give yourself on these 10 points? And try being a 7 on 10 at least in order to gain respect for people. And you have to be a high quality person in order to earn people's respects. And how many of us know what it is to be a conscious leader, showing up at home and showing up in the workplace? And it takes time for people to build trust. So it's not that you do all of these things at once and then you get respect, and then when you don't get it, then you're like, why don't I why are people not respecting me? And for those of you who are looking, who are still not sure of themselves, who still don't have a great handle on their own feelings, needs, and emotions, who still feel disconnected inside, who still need to get a lot more clarity, a lot more self leadership, a lot more personal integrity, building all of that, self partnering. I invite you to join the Self Love 8-week coaching program with us because you're going to build all of these different things, and that's going to help you in your personal life and in the workplace, right? Because it's you who's showing up. And for those of you who've already built these things, can graduate with us and join the Lead with Ease Academy. Details for that are in the description below, which is about building your leadership. But I'd like everyone to start with the self love coaching program because that's where you build that strength, you build that inner core that helps you show up as a great lover, as a great partner, as a great parent, as a great leader, and that protects you from a lot of difficult situations too, right? Because finally, it's about you being there for yourself. And when you can lead yourself, you could be there for yourself, is when you can lead the world. So I invite you all to join this program, and I look forward to serving you inside. There are two options there. I believe there's a $99 per month option where you can be a self-starter. Some people like to be self-starters and do things on their own, so you get access to our modules and community. And some like to have group coaching also, so that as they're doing the modules, they can get answers to a lot of their questions, and a lot of how-to scenarios. How do I do this? How do I do that? But I don't know how to do this. But then I see this is the blocking point and all, and you get group coaching calls with me to help you resolve and get coached on all of that. And then some of you want one-on-one coaching, and you're always welcome to connect with me, and links for all of this are there in the description below. So I look forward to serving you next week. And next week's topic would be around burnout, around taking care of yourself and protecting yourself from burnout in a relationship, or burnout by overworking yourself, or an emotional burnout or a physical burnout. And we're going to talk about that because a lot of leaders are susceptible to burnouts, where they're so focused on getting things done that they end up not hearing and listening to their own bodies, and they end up in a state of great fatigue where they're not even able to access all their potential at all. So, next week, we're going to talk about burnout, and the link for that should show up very soon on this side. And for those of you who want to know more about the self love coaching program, the link is in the description below. And very soon, a video about the self love coaching program will also show up on this side to help you master yourself and to help you build yourself. Right. So I look forward to serving you. Please subscribe to my channel in order to get notified of my upcoming videos. The link is the top link in the description. If you click it, you will get to subscribe to my channel. And for those of you who are looking for help, please feel free to reach out to us, and hope you have a wonderful day ahead, a wonderful week ahead, a life with self partnering, self loving, being there for yourself, accepting yourself unconditionally with a lot of love and a lot of self compassion. May you become healed and whole, and may you grow and glow with ease with us.